Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As with you always, this is Max doing a live video, and it's not going to be on Boomer Effin Sooners XRP. So, with that said, it's going to be an interesting show. Like you see, crypto breakthroughs for 2024. If you're tuned in right now, you have some new news because you've seen that we're up to 1.49 trillion. Will we break up to 1.50? I think we will. And Investor Place has dropped new news in regards to the matters. So I think all of us are interested in this. So that's what we're going to start off with. We have some JASMY that we're going to get into. An ISO standard that hasn't been officially mentioned in regards to JASMY, or they might even be aware of it, but it's Kunitake Ando. You want to tune into that, all right? About an ISO standard that you may have no idea has a connection there, okay? And it's not nothing burger. It's a real thing to pay attention to. On top of that, we have some HBAR, new HBAR to get into. And of course, we have quite the deep dive in regards to quant to finish off the night. I am glad to be here with you guys. And with that said, let's welcome our wonderful community. And let's start things off with the first comments. So actually, before we get to the first comments, let's recognize this. This is from the one and only Mr. Tim Shea, who sprays from far away, has everybody hitting the DECK. He says 589th. Yes. Congratulations. Member for 2 months now. In reality, you've been a member for much longer than that if you count, all the history. But as far as this channel, thank you so much, Tim Shea. And hopefully the mayor of crypto, the crypto commissioner, is having a good night tonight. All right, let's welcome a few more of you guys. Brittany is in the house. She says hi. Glad to have you, Brittany. Always looking lovely. And we got Elon Muff. Mike Cuomo says boom. Thank you for being here, Mr. Elon Muff. The White Knight of Crypto. First live one for me, Max. Love all your sound research from down under. All right, awesome. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Everybody appreciates being appreciated, right? Guys, give White Knight Crypto a warm welcome. And that's a really cool avatar. I like that. All right. Dreamer's in the house. Good to see you, Dreamer. And T. Lens, a.k.a. Tia. Good to see you, Tia. She says she's early for once. Interesting. All right. We also got Stump Rider. Good to see you, Mr. Stump. Appreciate all the well wishes and so on. And he's at the 30, he's at the 20, he's at the 10. Touchdown, Mr. Boomer Effin Sooner. Good to see you, Boomer Effin Sooner. All right. So welcome a few more of you guys and so on. Yes, thank you for that, Boomer. I'm going to make sure that things are nice and big on the screen, just in case if you're Boomer Effin Sooner sitting from your couch, right? I always point that out in the videos now, right? And we got Crypto Holmes 777 in the house. JASMY coin guy yelling out JASMY. What is that? Or is that a Bitcoin cookie? That looks interesting. Also want to welcome back Rick Cogswell. Good to see you, Rick. Welcome back. And we got Crypto Holmes 777. Gerald is in the house. Good to see you, Gerald. Appreciate you for being here. Boom. Dennis Leal's in the house. Jim Miller, Evening Max, and everyone. Go JASMY. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Crypto guy or crypto coin guy, you know this is meme tokens. Okay. Elmo coin is a burn coin. Please do a deep dive into this one. Okay. Possibly. No guarantees. Rodney Brown, go JASMY. Any updates? Yes, we got some of those for you. Gonna give a shout out to like NeoX Tricks and so on. I will be getting back with Mental Logwire. We have a real in-depth one we're gonna get into a little bit later when things are a little bit more back to normal. It's gonna take a while for things to get back to normal, as you guys know. So let's welcome the one and only Corey Bibe, aka JASMY Not a Scam. Let's go. Hello, Max. Good evening, everyone. Because clearly that's his voice, right? I mean, it just couldn't be anything other voice. Maybe it was another voice, a normal voice. But once he got into JASMY, that's his voice. That's just the way it goes. Gonna attend a Christmas function. Let's go. Going to Hanukkah function. Let's go. Going to Disney World. Let's go. JASMY Not a Scam, right? All right. Dwight Von Stress, blessings, brother Max. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Shout out to you and your, significant other. And we'll just read a couple more comments and we'll kick it into what we need to kick it into. Brian Dowie's in the house. He says, "Sup, Max? Good to see you, Mr. Brian Dowie." Boom. All right. Rodney Brown. What up, Tim? Go Jasmy. Terrell's in the house. Good to see you, Terrell. Appreciate you being here, man. Thank you for the warm wishes as well. Always puts a smile on my face to see Star Dog. It could possibly be WrestleMania, but I don't want it to be honest. I don't want to go that long because then I have to catch up on everything. But there's a lot of coverage. So Stardog, shout out to you, and I know you're a fan of WrestleMania. So good to see your fellow mate across the pond, Mr. Stardog. Yes, my team is playing at, I think it just started. So I think it's like first quarter. Suns need to get a win against the Grizzlies. So that's why I got the hat on today. All right. I think we're close to the bottom. We're going to welcome Junior Daza, if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Right, not to be confused with the Junior Mafia. Like the hat. He says, "Let's go, family." Thank you for being here. Everybody give Junior a warm welcome. And yes, Jasmy, not a scam. Let's go. All right. River is also in the house. And I think we're going to start here shortly. Jasmy, HBAR. I'm glad you like those. Corey Bibe, Max, I will continue to talk like that until Jasmy hits $1. Scam. Cool. You got to do what you got to do, right? All right. Get back to normal. What I missed. My dad, he's he is close to entering the kingdom of heaven. Gave him about a few days to a couple weeks. So that's what's going on to you. All right. I'm trying to stay positive about it, the whole thing, but he's lived a long life, and if it's in God's will for a miracle to happen, then that will happen. But if it's also in God's will for him to take my dad home, that's what's going to happen too. And that's the way I look at it. So, all right. Yeah, it's one of those things to you. Thank you. That's why there hasn't been regular shows daily and stuff like that. So, I spent a lot of time earlier today on the phone with close friends and family that knew my dad. So it was a very time-consuming day. It was very exhausting, but I was glad to be able to reconnect with people. Thank you, guys. It'll be okay. All right, what we're going to do now is going to jump into the Saturday report straight from Investor Place only a few hours ago. So if you're just tuning in, please smash the like. It helps the algorithm kick in, get this out to your, a larger broadcast and so on. And just as a reminder, make sure you're subscribed. We're also at 22 likes, 43 people watching. So we definitely could use more likes. Let's try to get this more out to a broader base. But let's go ahead and start things off with the Saturday weekend update. So here it is, straight from Investor Place, a premium service that you guys know I use. And I think this is very, very encouraging for all of us, whether you're on the train of, nope, it's going to crash to 12K, BTC, and so on, whatever the case be. I don't think that's the case. I think this is pretty solid. So let's go ahead and share this with you. All right. This is the premium service from Investor Place. You guys know I've been subscribed for a while. I have an annual subscription. On this one that was released a few hours ago, they point out, is 2024 the year of, crypto breakthroughs? I feel as though it can very well be. I'm looking more forward towards certain projects reaching all-time highs, but at the same time, you may very well be able to take profits on certain ones that are part of your portfolio. Unless, of course, you're maxi in one particular coin and so on. Hey, no judgment. You got to do what's best for you. But the outlook for cryptos improves amid a flurry of positive developments. Yes, a lot of positive indicators, even on the local news, and so on. They point things out, like even on the radio, that it looks like we're going to continue to have things like a Fed pause, and there's no indicators for crazy inflation and whatnot. I understand there's some doom and gloom could be on the way, but for the time being, things look pretty bullish. Why do they look pretty bullish? Well, let's jump more into this. Crypto market had another good week. We know that. We saw the market kind of explode. I mean, up to 38K. Some people feel as though, will we get to BTC like, 40K? We're going to get some of that as well. But before we jump more into this specifically, I want to show you what's going on with the overall crypto market. So we're at 1.49 trillion. It's a 2.37% increase. Even things like my Terra Luna Classic, I'm like, man, about 2 to 3 weeks ago, my $4,400 investment was only worth about $1,000. And now, basically speaking, I'm well over 2,000. I think I'm like at 2,200. And it's very encouraging because, like a lot of people, it's like you get into certain things and then, sometimes you maybe have that regrets. But I've always stated that this was a long term hold. And in reality, for me and a lot of other people, whether you hold Luna Classic or not, it's just like all I need is Luna Classic to go to roughly 6 or 7 cents, and I am golden. You know, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like, give me my golden ticket. So yeah, big things happening, and let's take a look into what exactly is going on. So 24-hour chart, Bitcoin 2%. Even on the 1 hour charts, you see some of the other ones like ordinals, even eCash, which is Bitcoin ABC, doing well. How about our IOTA, right? And if anything, I don't have time today to get more into that, but I'm thinking maybe if I'm back with you guys on Monday, because I won't be here with you guys tomorrow, we can get finally into some actual IOTA, because we always talk about IOTA, but we don't actually have, like, here's this particular piece devoted to IOTA. But, I came in at roughly like 15 cents, maybe under, in regards to my bag of IOTA. I'm at a 2x. I'm ecstatic. A lot of you guys are ecstatic too. So shout out to all the people that have IOTA. Really cool stuff. And of course, this is just the top 100. Terra Classic USD, which is USTC, doing well. 252% up on the 7-day chart. Luna Classic, 94%. A lot of these things, right? Getting more into this, here's my watch list. And basically speaking, look at this on the 7-day chart. Again, a little bit more of that USTC. The meme coin, the Jesus coin, which has a 100% perfect score on, Token Sniffer, up 183%. Another one that was doing well, I sent to Mike Cornwell. I don't see it on this list right now because it's kind of pulled back. But man, Clearpool. I mean, that was in, at the 1 cent range about over a month ago. Now it's in the 7.5 cent range. That one is up over 262% Clearpool. So yeah, you're going to definitely see me covering Clearpool a lot more. Done over 30, 35 videos on Clearpool in the record section if you're more interested in that. And there's just a lot of things that we hold are doing well. Shout out to Tim Shea with XX, right? A lot of things going on. Plugins doing all right. So we covered a lot of these particular ones. So bottom line is this. Let's jump back to what we have in regards to this report. And you're going to see some things that might open your eyes, or you may think, I'm waiting for everything to crash again. Well, you got to do what you got to do. All right, check this out. Getting more into this. Like it says, there's a flurry of favorable developments regarding exchange traded funds, which are referred to as ETFs, as we know. And basically the approvals, regulatory changes, inflation, Federal Reserve policies, all this stuff. The outlook basically is this, kind of like what you see on the screen in bold. Strong rally extending and potentially intensifying in 2024 remains highly optimistic. However, their analysis remains the same as it was last week, and that is that BTC could very well reach 100K by the end of 2024. Now, we have other people who are part of our community and so on that have given us reports in regards to, hey, this is why I feel it's like it's going to go to over 200,000 and so on. I'm reporting the one from, obviously, Investor Place. That's the one I use, but they've been pretty consistent about 100K BTC. And I'll state this. If there's 100K BTC, you should also see big things for Ethereum as well. And that alone, those two things get accomplished by the end of 2024. What do you think that's going to do for assets like JASMY? Even if you didn't do any of your own research, you're going to be sitting pretty nice, to say the least, at these particular levels. Or if you're like me and many others that are part of a community who bought in at like 0.002928. I remember Mike Cornwell, I think you came in at bottom last time. And it's awesome, But for me, yes, I'm back in my profits and so on with my JASMY, but I'm not settling for, $1,400 worth of profit. That's a long-term hold. But, do what you got to do. This week, BTC saw a modest increase of over 2%, with its price currently at, That was mentioned there, but in reality, it's not that. It's this right here. Let's share this again. And basically speaking, let's refresh the page. Yeah, you see 39,485. I'm honestly thinking that we might touch 40K. Now, of course, people are going to take profits, day traders, and so on. But, it's definitely all worth pointing out. And getting more into the outline, let's get back into this. ETH, of course, relatively stable around 2084. BNB, Ripple doing, you know, some experience slight declines, but Solana gained, of course, 5%. A lot of you guys still bleed in Solana. You're doing more than well. We point out most of these things. I did see that Beam. I'm not into Beam, but they went up to the top 100. I got a lot of requests from you guys to cover Celestia. Shout out to Jay Muskies. He's always saying, yeah, you need to cover that. I may very well in the future. There's so many things to cover, but let's get back to the topic of a 40K BTC. So technical conditions in the crypto market suggest a mixed short-term outlook, possibility of BTC 40K. I think that's realistic. I mean, we're so close to it right now, but based on some of these things, you do see that there could be consolidation in the range of 36K to 38K. And that's equally plausible. I will agree with Investor Place in that regard. Let's show you some data here in a moment. In summary, the short-term forecast for cryptocurrencies appear to be varied. And basically speaking, it's varied with the potential for both growth and consolidation in the market. And for those who are saying, I don't want to see any more consolidation, just one moon. No, you want to see consolidation, because the last few times we've seen consolidation where things leveled out, then if anything, it strengthens things and we see more of bullish indicators going to the upsides. And I consistently want to see more of that. Why is that? Well, I experienced that in 2021, basically about, I would say, 4 to 5 months before things went to 69K on 11/11/2021. I saw, BTC, for instance, at 45, 50K, and then we had that nice, trajectory forward. Do we see a replication of that? I'm not a fortune teller, but I do follow these 4-year cycles and so on. So what does it all mean for you? Like it says, BTC doesn't want to stop rallying. Now, last time I was with you guys showing the data, we of course had the whole thing of leveling out, pointing out consolidation. But yeah, let's look more into this. So I'm going to blow this up just a little bit more, just in case you are boomer F and sooner watching from your couch. Check it out for yourself. You do see some of what it's talking about here. And of course, we cite everything from Bloomberg Finance. You could look more into it as well. And like it also says, speaking for himself and his team, this is referring to Luke Lango and of course Charlie Shrem. You got to keep in mind they got a lot of experience in data analytics. Charlie Shrem has been into BTC since it was $10 back in 2010. Crazy stuff. But the bottom line is, would buyers do we get anything, when we say we buy on other people's fear or weakness? Do we continue to do that? Well, I think we do. 2024 outlook looks exceedingly positive. You're also going to see a lot of your cryptos that were part of the accumulation phase. Not all of them, but a good amount of them will go from accumulation to that markup. There's a time period in which you still will make good money on it. Don't get me wrong. And you can still buy things for, somewhat cheap, but not compared to, the prices that you saw at the end of, summer 2023, and especially this time of the year, 2022. As previously mentioned, the conditions are increasingly favorable for a significant rally in BTC and other cryptocurrencies next year. Are you prepared for this? That's the bottom line. Did you have a real plan, or did you just wing it? No judgments, but it's kind of a mixed field depending on how long you came into crypto. If this is your first time even watching a show like this, or you just don't know about it, your friends are talking about it and so on because they've seen gains and you want some gains as well, right? There's a combination of a lot of things going on. But first, there is a potential for the approval of multiple Bitcoin ETFs in January, some big dates. Final deadlines, obviously, for at least 7 to 9, give or take, minimum of 7, is in March. And of course, big things happening for April with the halving. But the likelihood of these approvals has risen recently. Yes, particularly following the Securities and Exchange Commission's unexpected delay of two specific ETF applications. And of course, this is in regards to Bloomberg's intel in regards to that. And here's the quote, and it is worth pointing out, so I'll read this verbatim. The SEC issued delay orders on spot Bitcoin ETF applications for Franklin Templeton. Interesting. And Hashdex on November 28th. An unusual move considering both applications were delayed less than 2 weeks earlier and weren't due for another order until January 1st. This tells us the SEC is lining up almost every issuer for potential approval by January 10th, as we expected. Now, if you guys saw the coverage that we had in regards to the Stellar coverage from a few days ago in regards to what's going on with Sorbonne, the clue is, especially if you're still a holder, listen to this. The clue is that there's deadlines for anyone that wants to build on Sorbonne and come up with a release. They've had incentives in regards to, $100,000, grant to, whatever project seems to really stand out and so on. But that deadline of December 3rd, combined with what you see here in regards to the Bitcoin ETF application from Franklin Templeton, my own personal conclusion, and it's just, you can agree with it or not, is that your time is running out as far as accumulation phase at these prices, not a full accumulation phase, but for your Stellar. I'm just going to go ahead and call that right now. And the reason why I would do that, even though I could be wrong, is ETFs are a big deal. The market will move, but those two factors of Sorbonne having deadlines for the devs, and we know the whole thing of that connection of Franklin Templeton working a strategic partnership with Stellar. Those things, for us to believe that we're going to still stick around 11 or 12 cents, I just don't see that. I honestly think that the market will move. Stellar will move. You already saw IOTA move. So a lot of things tied in the ISO will move. But I don't know. I kind of have that feeling. And for me personally, this is where I'm like, I think I will load up a little bit more on Stellar. Not financial advice, but I'm just throwing that out there. All right. So here's the thing. This tells us that the SEC is lining up almost every issuer for potential approval by January 10th, as expected. The outlook for BTC and other cryptocurrencies in the coming year is increasingly, of course, optimistic. Yeah, no kidding. With significant developments on the horizon. I know this is a lot that's verbatim, but it's a lot that they're mentioning here. So it goes on to mention that, SEC is preparing to potentially approve a dozen new Bitcoin ETFs in January. You got to keep in mind, it's all about the final deadlines. They may approve some of those. They may kick the can down to the final deadlines. Most of those are in March. Introduction of more ETFs could lead to increased capital flow into, of course, the crypto markets, a development that is highly anticipated. Also combine that to the whole concept of dollar dominance, not having the dominance as we know. We heard, for instance, was it Saudi Arabia or the UAE, for instance, not going with the dollar. Dollar will dwindle. What happens to crypto? Makes more demand for crypto. Combine all these things when it comes to, jobs reports, CPI reports, inflation reports, another report I'm going to come out with here soon in regards to disinflation. This whole thesis about breakthrough in 2024 seems like a real thing. So furthermore, there has been notable progress on the regulatory front. It's becoming increasingly plausible that 2024 could be the year when Washington, D.C. enacts comprehensive crypto legislation. Recall that the quote-unquote Financial Innovation and Tech for the 21st Century Act passed two committees in July, if you've been following this type of thing. However, it still needs to be clear in regards to a Senate vote, which remains uncertain as several key Senate Democrats are hesitant about establishing separate regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies. But we do have, for instance, that framework that was introduced, and it was originally introduced from Japan over to Europe, like we mentioned before. Despite these challenges, the stage is set for the most thorough and detailed discussions yet on Capitol Hill regarding crypto regulation, bolstered by a working framework for potential legislation. Situation suggests that the likelihood of that particular comprehensive crypto legislation will be passed in 2024 at some point. Doesn't mean that, sometimes people see, hey, we're in 2024 and it's like January 1st or something, that's going to happen. No, it takes time. But that time frame of 2024, 2025 will be a big deal. Do they pass all this right around the time of the halving, right after it? We'll have to wait and see. But you want to talk about perfect timing? I mean, that would literally be a well calculated, perfect approach, if you will, give or take, if it's a coincidence or not. A lot of you guys are following. I'm obviously following as well. But the prospect of comprehensive legislation, of course, becomes more tangible. And you got to keep in mind progress in this area in 2024 could further elevate crypto prices. And I couldn't agree more with that, because it's just a concept of supply and demand. Do we finally break out from that shift of what's going on with the stock market, and especially have something that's going to be like, hey, crypto is now the market that's not volatile? Well, of course, people say, well, Max, this is where the whole thing of, proper legislation, regulations come in place and so on. True. But why would you want to hop on board and accumulate then instead of accumulate now while you're still at a accumulation phase? Again, not all the ones that you were hoping to accumulate you're going to be able to do at rock bottom rates, but you still have time to do so. Again, do you have a plan? Lastly, macroeconomic factors continue to align favorably for cryptocurrency. So if you're just tuning in, listen to this part. Please smash the like if you haven't done this already. Inflation is on a downward trend with both the headline and core personal consumption expenditures. And I'm seeing a lot of these reports, whether it's from the left, the right, and so on. It doesn't matter. Numbers don't lie. That's the point. Don't make it political, right? But it indicates the resumption of disinflation. Current models from the Cleveland Federal Reserve predict further declines in both headline and core PCE inflation rates in the next quarter. Lower inflation rates are generally favorable for crypto prices, adding to the positive outlook for the sector. So my thing is this. You see on the screen, for instance, says, disinflation is back. But, what about the whole concept of like, can you legitimately make money in 2024? And I would say basically, yeah, the answer is yes, but I'm looking more forward to 2025. I'd rather get excited about all-time highs than, being part of that whole increase. Okay. So I thought I'd just go ahead and zoom in more about that. Here's the report. Again, disinflation is back. That's a good thing, right? Talks about this. Meanwhile, in response to these easing inflation trends, Federal Reserve continues to pivot dovish in its policy stance, so much that the market is now pricing in 5 rate cuts for 2024 versus 2 rate cuts about a month ago. And that's, wow, 5 for 2024. And of course, here's some more of that data on that chart. I'm going to come back into the frame. And basically speaking, here's the bottom line for you, me, everybody else. With inflation dropping and rate cuts on the way, the macroeconomic backdrop is improving in a manner that should provide support for further strength in the crypto markets. I would completely agree with that. All in all, the evidence is overwhelmingly, suggests that cryptos will soar in 2024. Yeah, there's too many things to support that thesis that it will. Could black swan events happen even when things are looking great? Absolutely. It could happen in a bull or bear market. But we aren't convinced that December will not be a great month, but we would also be buyers on any weakness in the short term. There's still ones that are on sale. I still look at like Stellar, like still on sale. XTC, still on sale. So you didn't quite miss it. I mean, even like I was talking to, Mike Cornwell's, it's like, wow, look at this whole thing with like Clearpool, for instance. He feels as though you missed it. Well, still opportunity there. Go watch for a pullback, but always make sure that you've researched more of the asset that you're thinking about getting into anyway. And the 12-month outlook, like it says, could not be better, because so far everything's in alignment of, wow, some big things coming up. ETF approvals, like we know, even 1 or 2 is going to increase the overall crypto market substantially. What happens when we get like the 7 or more that have a final deadline in March? Could be massive. Keep in mind, let's dive into this week's particular portfolio update. Not going to get into all of them, but some of these are ones that you guys are into as well. Some of you guys like Cool Cat Crypto are into Cosmos. So co-founder Jay Kwan, not to be confused with Do Kwan, has announced plans to fork the Cosmos Hub blockchain, leading to the creation of a new Atom 1 token. Interesting. This decision follows a recent proposal that successfully capped the inflation rate of the Hub's native token Atom at 10%. Despite this significant development, the market price of Atom has remained, stable basically. That's good, indicating investor confidence or neutrality regarding this strategic shift. So, a lot of times when you get news about something like that, there's a lot of fear. You see a pullback. That didn't happen. So that's incredible. All right. I, of course, am heavily into Filecoin. Some of you guys are into Filecoin. We'll share this as well. Filecoin, for instance, is set for significant network upgrade version 21, scheduled course for December 12th. That's basically only 10 days away. Dubbed the, quote, watermelon upgrade. Interesting. This update will introduce a range of improvements and bug fixes to aim enhancing network performance, stability. Hey, awesome. The Filecoin core development team anticipates a smooth transition with no expected disruptions, of course, on the network in regards to the upgrade process. Other than that, there's some other ones in regards to like Talos, Tezos, and so on. But there is a few more things we will get into. It's kind of like bonus notes, and then we'll kick it back into the comments because I know this is a lot of coverage, but I want to share just a tad bit more with you. So in regards to this climb that you're seeing, we're almost basically at 40K of BTC. We're sitting at 39,446, right? But I want to jump back to this. It says BTC witnessed a modest but steady increase over 2%, actually a little bit more than that, maintaining a price of like what you saw right now, like 39K plus. This growth, while slight, reinforces the notion that BTC has the wind behind its back as we head into 2024. That sounds really, really good. Very bullish. Let's talk about ETH for a second, because as we know that over 80 to 81% of the overall crypto market comes from BTC and ETH, hence why it has this dominance. If those do well, you see things like your JASMY also do well. ETH held its ground, remaining relatively stable with its price hovering around 2,084, give or take. The stability in the face of the market fluctuations is a testament, of course, to ETH's robustness in the crypto market, whether you're a fan or not. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of ETH, but I do understand that they are the most popular smart contract platform. The McDonald's of smart contracts, right? Doesn't mean that they're the best, but they're everywhere. Mixed responses among altcoins. Let's talk about this for a second. So, a lot of you guys hold BNB. Most of us hold Ripple's XRP. Some of us are fans, some of us aren't, but it experienced a slight dip. Solana enjoyed a notable 5% gain. This mixed response among altcoins highlights a diverse nature of the market. True, influencing each currency. And this is something I definitely want to point out. You never see Investor Place point out Terra Luna Classic, but they're giving credit where credit's due, and I like this. Impressive gains, of course, for Luna Classic, led the pack with an impressive 88% increase. We also saw, for instance, USTC, formerly known as UST, do very, very well. Over, was it 230% in the last 7 days? Pretty incredible. Followed by significant gains in Beam. Again, Beam made it into the top 100. Celestia, my beloved IOTA. Some of you guys are into IOTA. Hey, man, I'm so happy about my IOTA. A little over 2x right now. I mean, what's there not to be happy about? And even Terra 2.0. These movements underscore the potential for high returns in select actions. All right, I'm not going to get into all this about some of the ones about Blur and the gas fees and so on. But one thing I do want to point out is this right quick, and that is in regards to regulatory and technological developments. The potential approval of course, these ETFs could very well be huge, and it will bring a lot into the overall crypto market. We know that. Financial innovation, technology for the 21st Century Act, that's what's called. It's a positive tone for the future of crypto. Additionally, technological advancements in blockchain networks like Cello, some people call it CeLo, I never knew what was the right way to pronounce it, Phantom with an F, and Hedera highlight the ongoing innovation in the crypto space. Now, with that said, we do have some Hedera coverage for you guys tonight that I want to get into. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and get back in the comments, see if there's anything specific. Thank you guys for being here on this Saturday night for DYOR with Max, but in reality, it's me and the community. And, kind of interested to see what you guys have in the comments. I want to welcome Not On My Watch, Selmo Fudd, and GT. I see you guys just connected not that long ago. Appreciate you guys being here. Hopefully you're having a good weekend. And Legendary also here in the house. I appreciate you guys being here. Vibra Finance CEO, you always have the alpha. Keep crushing, and God bless. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I'm just a guy who, loves to cover crypto, whether I have 20 people or 50 watching right now. So thank you. It is my passion to cover this stuff. I have good times and bad, just like anybody else. So Salman, our XCC Commander's in the house. Good to see you, Sal. And let's see who was the last comment from before. I don't want to skip too many things. All right, so I do see here, Stardog says he and your mom will reunite. Thanks, Stardog. Appreciate that, man. I fully believe that as well. Elon Musk, we may hit BTC all-time high before the halving, then bust off. Man, wouldn't that be incredible, Mike? That would be absolutely incredible. And I think Mike is right, because again, all this ETF will bring in a tremendous amount of trading and volume. And at the same time, look where we're at. We're almost going to hit 40K. So I think, honestly, Mike, you're on, you got something there. Because, then the halving, and my goodness. What do you guys think? Drop in the comments. 100K BTC, or do you think it's going to be much higher than that? Or do you think, nope, it's going to, you like a few people are like, nope, 12K BTC, Black Swan events or something. Whatever the case be. We do welcome all different opinions and so on. Again, don't attack the messenger, just attack the argument. Okay? All right. Stumper Rider, thanks so much, man, for the $10 super chat. He says prayers for your dad and you during this time. Thank you. Yeah, I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. The last report I got was that he was at least comfortable and they're treating his pain and so on. His pain is basically because bed sores and stuff like that, had to turn him. His muscle mass is he's pretty much like skin and bones, and sad. Don't ever take for granted, even if you're, overweight like me, Max still has some muscles, I used to work out a lot many years ago, not now, right? But I need to do that again. I'm still strong, and it's a blessing to have muscles. It's like I never really looked at it from the perspective that our muscles are like padding, you know what I mean? And it prevents us from bruising as much. So, it's like, I wish my dad, still had his muscles and so on, but it's the dementia has become, amplified after he had his stroke. Before he was able to live with a short-term memory loss, but after the stroke, it's rapidly accelerated his dementia really, really bad. So, yeah. All right. But thank you again, Stump Rider. Appreciate the support, man. That means a lot. All right. Now on my watch says, I think around the beginning of 2024, first quarter, the market is going to tank, absolutely tank real bad, or at least the dollar will. I'm going to have seen stimulus checks and try to pump up your time you again. Okay. Well, thanks for that perspective. My also thing is like, a lot of people felt that there was going to be a lot of doom and gloom when it came to 2020 and 2021 because of the pandemic. And as a result, crypto was a response to that, supply and demand, if you will. I think we're going to see that. That's just a difference of opinion. But I mean, you're not the only one that feels this way. And we definitely have to see what goes on with that. But not on my watch. Welcome back. Glad to see you're back. Okay. April Cornwell, welcome back. She got a new avatar and she's saying, hey, everyone with the flowers. Thank you so much, April. Hopefully you're feeling better. I know you guys are all under the weather. And lovely Brittany is saying hello to lovely April. All right. Crypto Homes, Illuvium has had a nice run on the past month or so. That's good. Elon Musk, man, I had a nice bag of Ordi and it's been absolutely booming. Nice. I remember when Ordi was right around the $5 range, which was a few months ago. And it's really been doing well and so on. And you got the same type of tokenomics, from my understanding, as you do BTC. And yeah, it's been really doing well. Hey, everyone. How are you guys tonight? Beautiful Saturday evening. Thanks, April. Doing not too bad. Trying to, get with it. Maybe a few more comments. Let's see here. Render has a nice run. That's good. Crypto Homes 777. Tia says Coinbase giving away Vanar for free. Interesting. I need to go back and log into. I did notice that. I think also on the graph. Believe it or not, I'll state this. You guys want to get some free graph? I think they had one of those educational things. Remember how a few years ago, if you've been in crypto for a while, you used to have those things where like you watch a stellar video, you get a little bit stellar. So always take advantage of that stuff. Free crypto just for education. Heck, you already do it with me. Might as well get rewarded for it, right? Well, forget you, Max. I'm out of here, right? No, don't do that. Don't be like a banana and split too fast. But yeah. All right, April Cornwell. Hey, stopping by to say hey, Max Hart. Thanks, April. Appreciate you for doing that. All right, we're gonna see what other questions or comments we have. I want to say hello to Selmo Fudd and also Salamander. Thank you guys for being here. Selmo Fudd, our brother Selmo says, "What up, Max? I've been doing my research, and BTC is a bull trap. Expect consolidation and retracement." Interesting. You have just a quick drink off the fat juice, as you guys would say. It's just mango, All right. Look at this. Boomer Alpha Sooner. Damn, Orty. 550%, 515% in the last month surpassed all-time highs. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. All right, we're gonna go further down. You guys are naming like XLM, all the good stuff, JASMY, right? All that good stuff. That is so awesome. Let me see what else you guys have in the comments. Let's read this from Dennis Leal. If BTC parked ETFs would reduce transaction fees for miners and the halving. This is the last bull run for BTC. I don't see how Bitcoin can generate enough income in the future and be, you know what? That is a legitimate way to look at it, personally. That's a conservative response. Yeah, I don't think you're the only one who feels that way. This is where people are like, if we're all about innovation, how is BTC innovation? And I know, I get it, guys. A lot of us, are like, hey, BSV, fake Toshi, so on. Hey, whatever the case be, but say what you want. Even if Craig Wright isn't the real Satoshi, if I'm looking at just the utility layer in itself and talking about, well, is there anything innovative from Bitcoin at all? It leads me still back to BSV, and if anything, putting the whole Satoshi thing aside, there's no denying it. I mean, there's just no denying it. All right. Legendary, stupid YouTube, stop notifying you. You know what? It might be I didn't give enough time, because sometimes I do things kind of spontaneous, and I think the algorithm prefers at least an hour in advance of a show. And I put the show up probably like a half an hour before it went live. So I think there's a little bit of that. But thank you for being here, Legendary. All right, let's use that as a bookmark. I'm going to double check the other screen, make sure I didn't miss anything. And I don't think I did. I think for the most part, we're kind of close to the bottom. I see Calvin's in the house. He said, decent day, but got to give a shout out to Ada Cardano. The project has been here through the ringer over the past couple years. That's a good point. All right. And thank you for the prayers, Selma. I really do appreciate that. Price predictions on HBAR. I don't have anything specific on that. That's a real long-term hold. There's a few cryptocurrencies I got to kind of think a little bit more about as far as like the real price predictions. So I can't really give you one on that. Let our community interact and give you their own 2 cents. But we have some things in regards to that. Mr. Bud, let's welcome you. He says, Tectum. Remember how we were joking around that about, John Madden with boom, tough acting Tenactin, but tough acting Tectum. I don't know. You get what I'm saying. Seems like it's a solid project. On the surface, it seems pretty good. We did a little brief intro, and we put up a video about that. All right, we're going to jump back into the coverage. And we have 60 people here tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in to some Maximus Crypto. Make sure you're subscribed. Please give, if you're an XRP, give Will Fix, or brother Will Fix, a fellow, ISO 222 enthusiast. Give him a follow over at Will Fix. But let's jump into a little bit more of what we have tonight in regards to the lineup. So this next one is going to be JASMY. And if JASMY is your thing, you just tune in at the right time for that. We're about roughly 45 minutes into the show. And we're going to now pull up some of that JASMY info for you. And basically, here it is. We're going to start off with the one and only Mr. Icy Amphibian. I always liked Icy's name. All right, so shout out to Icy. And guys, I'm telling you, this is a big win, in my opinion, for Jasmy. I had a little bit itch. So, with that said, what is this? Well, for one, great research can catch the attention of certain people. At the same time, maybe certain people don't see everything. Well, how do you put yourself in a position to get yourself out there so some of these quote unquote top influencers can see your research? Well, you take advantage of going on their discords and stuff like that. Now, I know we don't have a Discord as we speak. That's not the point. The point is this: a lot of you guys, whether you're for him or not, are aware of Guy of Coin Bureau. Icy Amphibian has caught the attention of Guy. Whether you're for him or not, guess what? It's a move in the right direction, because that means more eyeballs on our beloved Jasmy. And as we know, just like in real life, more people are going to find out about crypto if we simply just talk to people about it. So shout out to Icy for taking the time to get Mr. Guy to respond at least to the research. So I want to highlight some of the research here. And of course, Icy Amphibian has pointed out here, plain as day for you, especially if you're a Jasmy holder. It says, my Jasmy introduction, right up for Coin Bureau. Thank you, Guy, for the compliment. I myself, as a former educator, always can appreciate anybody who takes the time and liberty to write anything up, whether it's in APA format or whatever the case. It doesn't matter. Solid research will always speak for itself. So Icy did a really good job with this, and we're going to pull it up, make it bigger for you. And let's go ahead and pull up on the other screen. Here it is. So Icy talks about this, and it's just like everything we basically know, but again, not prepared for us, prepared for somebody like Guy. He says, Jasmy, personal data market is a human oracle network that will connect all Jasmy capable devices together. True. Jasmy has created the world's first blockchain computer, Jasmy Secure PC. True. And companies like Vio, Vita are the first to manufacture. They are, of course, in talks with ASUS. I did a video a while back on the old channel in regards to ASUS. Some people call it ASUS. But Jasmy has also, had this whole thing of the connection of mobile devices. And we're always going to talk about that, especially in the future when it comes to IoT. I think the thing with Sony, and for instance, Sony and Honda will definitely be a big thing for the future, especially, you know, with what, Jasmy can have connections with and so on, especially when it comes to WITs, for instance. But you got to keep in mind, Jasmy has mobile devices, like he says, in the works and multiple patents. So we know about some of this stuff. And, he goes into more and more detail about, for instance, Jasmy stands for Japan Ando Sato Masanobu Yoshida. Interesting, because, we know this, but sometimes it's nice to have a refresher, and Yoshida, even though he retired, he's still well connected to Jasmy, and he's part of course, Dreamforce. But, like it says, founders, and yes, Kunitake Ando, former Sony execs, Jasmy is a gas-free enterprise network on Hyperledger Fabric with Jasmy ERC20 as the main asset. Don't get me wrong. In the current form of Jasmy, for us retail holders, I think it was Be Easy or somebody like that was saying, had to pay $30 in Ethereum gas fees. True, if you go like with certain routes, like Uniswap and so on, but on certain exchanges, the centralized ones, especially before KuCoin didn't allow for American trading anymore, the fees were very, very significantly low. If anything, you can still go to like crypto.com and get some Jasmy, and you're not going to get hit with those big ETH gas fees. But anyway, like it says, Jasmy ERC20 as the main asset, building on optimism, public layer 2, all this stuff, right? We know about most of the stuff. But again, maybe Guy doesn't know about some of this stuff. So it's all worth pointing out. I'm going to get you over to the second page in regards to this. And this is really cool how he put this together, took the liberty to follow this guy on the Discord and just simply get more into this. So for one, you see here, like he says, Jasmy hybrid solution, bringing private chain, public chain, interoperability chain together, working with the Japanese government, including carbon credits and CCC. We talked about this on, what was Thursday, I think was the last day I was with you guys. And you got to keep in mind, JASMY well positioned with Japan's national Web3 strategy. Thinks it will be a dominant network through Asia. They are planning to come to the United States, Europe, so on and so forth. Now, in regards to IC Amphibian, this is very, very true. All right. He's been here way longer than me. I always give props to him. Jesse of KIR Finance. I give nothing but I pay my due respects to these guys that came in long before old Max did covering this, because they have done the heavy lifting way before I came in. But like he says, he spent the last 2 years researching this company. I basically spent almost a year. Okay. So he's got 1 year up on me. Icy stated that he started with BTC, he learned ETH, Polkadot, and continued his self-education from there. I mean, we talk about do your own research. Icy Amphibian has more than done that. You ever see him in the comments? Give him, a high five, or, say what's up to him and so on. He deserves that because he's put in the time. He could talk about JASMY for hours or days or weeks, right? Like we do. But he would like to have Guy of Coin Bureau, basically peek at his work on Reddit, X Profiles, formerly known as Twitter, of course, his Discord profile. And he thanks you just for taking the time. He says he's a huge fan. If I was somebody like Guy, I would recognize that. This doesn't seem like a shill. It seems like somebody who's passionate with research, solid research, right? So here's the highlight. IC Amphibian. Oh, I thought Guy will never DM you first, was asking the community, laughing. And then as a response, look at this. He says, yesterday, 11:37 p.m., great write-up. Now, he didn't have to do that, right? We know he didn't have to do that, but the point is that he did. And what will that mean for maybe the future of what we see as far as more JASMY coverage? Now, there's other influencers out there, like, for instance, Matthew Perry and so on, that cover JASMY. I've seen like maybe 1 or 2 videos from Your Pop and so on. But nothing against those guys. But when it comes to comparing, influencer status, Coin Bureau and also Ben Armstrong, when he used to be part of BitBoy Crypto before that went all, and with the drama of that, Coin Bureau, I guess you could say, is kind of the supreme #1 leader when it comes to the biggest, broadest base right now. I think 2 million or more followers. So whatever way you want to look at this, okay, it's like this. This is a big, huge win for our beloved asset of JASMY. And I couldn't agree more with that statement because, again, a lot of people just don't know about some of these things. Now, hopefully, Guy will cover it. You know that he's not just going to be a yes man and say something like, all the great things we want to see. I'm sure he's going to point out something, the negative things, maybe like the marketing and so on. But whatever the case be, even if we have positive and negative, it is more eyeballs on JASMY equals more adoption. And that's a good thing, especially for us as retail holders of this asset. So we're going to pause there in regards to that part of the JASMY coverage. We have a little bit more JASMY coverage we're going to get into. And it's actually from Neo X Tricks, and I also have some more research I'm going to provide you guys tonight in regards to an ISO standard that I feel as though JASMY is not officially part of, but somebody like Kunitaki Ando positioned JASMY to be in without even the rest of the team even realizing it. What ISO standard is that, and does it even matter? Is it a nothing burger? You have to stay tuned. Here in a bit, we're going to kick it back to the comments. All right. What we're going to have now is reading a few of the comments, see if you have any specific questions and so on. Again, decent crowd here. Please smash the like if you prefer to do so, if you're grateful for the coverage. You don't have to drop super chats or anything like that. I just appreciate you guys dropping a like because it definitely gets the program out to a broader base. All right. Speaking of which, how we're doing on that? We're at 50 likes. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. I did see some super chats come through. Thank you for that. We have, for one, let's get into this for a second. There's quite a few, actually. So we got a super sticker from Crypto McDizzle, $2 super sticker. He says he's here because of attendance or something, like it's a classroom or something. Well, thank you for that, Mike. I do appreciate that. Let's go ahead and highlight that here in a bit. Before I even get more into it, I do want to thank Crypto Info underscore DYOR, aka Biz to the Moon, live from the metaverse. He said, "What up, Max? Prayers up to your dad. Thanks for all that you do in crypto info that you gotta know." Thank you so much, Mr. Biz to the Moon, live from the metaverse. Thank you for the thoughts and prayers. I do appreciate that. Jack Thompson's in the house. Good to see you guys. Let's go ahead and highlight some of these super chats. And let's see here. We got this one. So thank you again. Appreciate that. Mike Cornwell, Elon Muff. We also got Henry Brown gifted one Maximus Crypto membership. Who did it go to? The lucky winner was Jack Thompson. Thank you, Jack. And Jack at some point says, "Good evening, crypto wealth and perfect health to everyone." Shalom back to you, Mr. Jack Thompson. And thank you for that. So yeah, congratulations to Jack. That was super cool. We also got a super chat from Henry Brown. Whose line is it anyway? Asked Drew Carey and Wayne Brady. Yeah. Back, in high school, I did Whose Line Is It Anyway with, my acting / drama class and so on. My teacher, her name is Mrs. Accardi. That was always fun. And then we did more of Whose Line Is It Anyway with the local improv troupe that I was part of called the Dramagenics back in 2007. That was kind of a cool thing too. All right, let's see here. Another gifted membership of Maximus Crypto, and the winner was Brittany. Gifted a membership by Henry Brown. Awesome. Thank you. That is so cool. Thank you, Henry, and congrats to the lovely Brittany. How cool is that? All right. What we're going to do now is read a few more comments, see how we're doing. And let's see here. Now my watch says he butchered that comment about stimulus money. It's all good. It's all good. Jack Thompson, I bought some ALI. Cool. Artificial intelligence token. That did pretty darn well in the crypto winner. I have to see how it does, obviously, in the height of a bull market. But if you guys want to get that, it's on crypto.com app. And not that much. Anyway. Just Forfeit says, yo, all. Glad to have you. All right. We're going to do now is kick it back to some more JASMY coverage. And I want to, of course, thank the one and only Neo X Tricks for some of this coverage on the outline. So what we're going to do now is pull this up, and here it is. Now I want to get into some of the nitty gritty about this. It's good info. It's not just any info. It's good info. You posted this earlier, and I agree with a lot of these statements, but I want you guys to open up your, I guess you could say, put your think tank hat on and think outside the box. So he says, JASMY Consortium, creating a trade operations ecosystem. Let's blow this up. Put this on the other page for a second. Let's just get into some of the key highlights about this. So Neo, in my opinion, really did well with this job of putting this together. He talks about creating a trade operations ecosystem. And if anything, for you, if you're watching this, I want you to see all of what we're sharing with you tonight from the past, present, and even the future. I'm going to show you this whole thing of this ISO standard. And I want you to look at it from the perspective of it's a well-connected ecosystem through people that are enablers and give opportunity for these other organizations to basically just do that. Be like a trade operation ecosystem. So we have talked a lot about NTT data. Okay. We've even talked about, for instance, M-letter and so on. Just talk about XDC and so on. Trade always stands out when it comes to XDC. But what about this whole thing of, like, for instance, JASMY? Well, look at this for a second. Back in 2017, NTT Data launched the consortium in August of that time with leading Japanese companies in regards to trade operations. The consortium has been working on building a trade information platform using blockchain tech. And sorry, I was on that right screen. In order to implement a trade information platform on a societal scale, the platform has to solve the common problems of all parties involved. Let me just double check my settings because you guys are just not seeing this. Yes. So yes, all parties involved. A little bit more about this. The tech must attain credibility. Let me just get down to this part, make it that much bigger. Yes, the tech must attain credibility as a social infrastructure and reach compliance with relevant legal and regulatory authorities. So that right there, think about this for a second. The tech, what tech? What credibility? What social infrastructure? So if we're talking about, you know, your Googles, your Amazons, your Facebooks, and so on, that is a centralized authority, right? GAFA. But if you have something that is a decentralized social infrastructure, if you will, that is in compliance with relevant legal and regulatory authorities, I do immediately think of JASMY because they've already been there. They've already done that. To address these issues, the consortium is setting up working groups focusing on operational flow. Yes. Who's been talking about this for a while? I've been talking about how, even though, like it's been pointed out to me, even in DMs, that, JASMY and Quant, that is, was it Ahara? Maybe he's not even aware of Quant. That's beyond the point. The thing is, in the future, because we're talking about scalability, they would need to work with those particular working groups for the future. How so? AI blockchain, standards. We talk about IoT standards. All those standards follow under the umbrella of the ISO TC 307 standard. So again, I want to point out to everybody who's like, man, a lot of the stuff you mentioned, Max, is really speculative. You got to keep in mind this pounds at home more, and I'll give you another example here in a bit, that you have to have consortiums, and you also have to work with the working groups. Like it says, operational flow and the laws and regulations. So they already met regulatory compliance, especially in Japan with the FSA and so on, JVCEA. So been there, done that. But how do you work with the working groups, and especially when it comes to standards? And I like, that Neo X Tricks posted this. So when I got more into this, I said to myself, well, I like what Neo has here, but I also want to remind people of this. 2 years ago, JASMY CEO Kunitake Ando, director of JIN, JIN. Now, some people don't know about this, some people do. And if anything, let's jump into this. It's an innovation management systems corporation with a jaw-dropping client list of the usual suspects. Now, we've already seen a jaw-dropping client list when it comes to Bijit. We understand, Google is one of the big names on that list. I think there's some other ones, Toshiba, some other big names. But, those are a couple that really, really stand out ahead of the pack. Well, let's jump into this for a second. So for one, you do see some of this list, and hopefully I can blow this up just a tad bit more as well. Let me see if I can. Yes, I can. And basically, like it says, Sony, obviously, Panasonic, we talked about them, Hitachi, Japan Tobacco Inc., NTT Data, interesting. West Japan Railway Company. Remember how we was talking about the whole thing of bullet trains in Japan, all towards the whole common concept of Society 5.0. Get more into this. You see some other big names. And let's get into the top right. So NTT Docomo. I'm just going with some of the ones that really stand out for me. NEC, like I mentioned, my first monitor was an NEC monitor. I hated that monitor. It was a 13-inch monitor. And, I had a compact Presario 2600 with only, it didn't even have a 3D, accelerated video card. I could only play Commandos on it. But I was thankful for that. That's beyond the point. But it was an NEC monitor, 13-inch, and it had a max output of 1024 by 768. Anyway, old gripe, right? But anyway, NEC is still a big company. And, JX, Nippon Mining and Metals, we talked about them. And obviously Hitachi is a big name, right? So those are all very, very big names. Like it says, JASMY CEO Kunitake Ando is also what? Director of JIN and Innovation Management Corporation. Now, some people may point out, like, Max, like, this is just another attempt at wowing people. This just sounds the same as Bijit. It's not the same as Bijit. And that's that is what is worth pointing out. So I'm going to pull up some more info in regards to this. And if anything, you're going to see, like it says right here, and we'll also take you right to the Jin site. Here's Kunitake Ando, director, right? Very cool stuff. Getting more into this. Here is straight from the Jin site. And we're not going to, put a lot of emphasis just on the Jin site, but you need to have an idea of the bigger picture. We talk about a specific consortium here and an ecosystem that's behind it to drive just that innovation. Now, before I introduce the whole ISO standard, I want that key thing to be stuck into your head, and that is innovation. Now, I want to pull this up. It says, toward innovation nation, join us realizing an innovation nation where innovation emerges from every organization. I don't have it zoomed in a lot here. I understand that. But you talk about this age of systematic innovation, and it gives you a lot of particular info. And if anything, I will go ahead and zoom in a little bit more on this one because it needs to be. And here it is. They talk about this is where innovation management and innovation management system, which is IMS, makes these efforts effective, efficient, and how they come into play. Now, look what's mentioned here. Today, systematic efforts in fostering innovation are spreading globally, exemplified by who? The ISO 56000 series of international standards for IMS. Now, I'm not saying this is a smoking gun or anything like that. Some people say, well, where there's fire, there's smoke. But I have been pointing out for the longest time, and I do get criticism about it, and it's okay. I mean, people DM me, and they agree, they disagree, and that's okay. But you have to keep in mind, I don't do this just because, hey, I also cover quants. I point out standards for a reason, and I especially point them out with the connections to Japan. ISO TC 307 standard is a legitimate standard that has also working groups for both, as we know, IoT and artificial intelligence. And that just scratches the surface. There's a lot more to it than just that. But once again, something about this statement, because now you understand that if Kunitake Ando with JASMY, with Sony, with Bajet, and also Jin, this is something that's worth pointing out, because this whole concept of a what if for the future when it comes to recognizing standards that Gilbert Verdi has pointed out in regards to like quant network, but also recognizing other standards that are part of the ISO working groups. Now you have the idea that, that might actually be a real thing. And Max is onto something because we currently have it. What is that? Well, let's jump into what specifically that is. And before we do, I will read this part. Innovation is not confined to a sporadic event or technological advancements alone. Instead, it should be placed at the heart of management activities. Think about this for a second. Management activities. We know when it comes to JASMY, there's a lot of management activities. Some that we agree with, some that we don't. Some people don't agree with the whole thing of how they go about the promotion of marketing. They feel like it's basically null. It's not there. But the heart of these management activities, you could basically see or say that's the JASMY management team. And look what it says. And is indispensable for companies and organizations to sustain themselves in society and the marketplace. Interesting. Because what is JASMY trying to accomplish when it comes to society 5.0 and even what? A decentralized data marketplace. Just saying, interesting. Getting more into this is Japan's representative to the ISO committee for IMS, JIN, is committed to supporting companies for their evolution towards the management system of the future, an intellectually creative organization. We seamlessly integrate innovation management systems with conventional frameworks. Oh, really? Is that so? What kind of framework have we been talking about for the longest time when it comes to DFFT, data free flow with trust, and how that framework was introduced to Europe? And we even have that template over here in the United States, but we don't have the Dems fully on board with it yet. Again, do your own research. We connect the dots for a reason, but everything that we've mentioned for about a year now is all lining up. And look what it says. This ensures the sustained growth and success of your organization. about organizations that are tied into it. JASMY is part of the bigger picture, Society 5.0. Now look at this for a second. Let me introduce this particular ISO standard to you. Once again, another ISO standard. Now, why would I point this out? For one, I want you to understand the significance of this. This states straight from ISO.org, and you can look into it more yourself. I don't need to drop a link for you. Just, look more into it yourself. ISO 5600 or 56002. Instead of ISO 222, ISO 56002. Innovation management system guidance. It has this abstract. It talks about, it's a guidance for the establishment and implementation, maintenance, and continual improvement of an innovation management system for all established organizations. It's applicable to quite a few. We'll get into some of this in a bit. But organizations seeking sustained success by developing and demonstrating their ability to effectively manage innovation activities to achieve intended outcomes. Users, customers, and interested parties seeking confidence in innovation capabilities as an organization. Talks about how interested parties seeking to improve communication through a common understanding of what constitutes an innovation management system. But there's a lot here. Look at this. Policymakers aiming for higher effectiveness of support program targeting, innovation capabilities, competitiveness, organizations in the development of society. Obviously, smart society, Society 5.0. But you got to keep in mind, when you go further down here, it talks about the benefits of this. Talks about, for instance, how it could benefit specific products like IoT products, services, the models. There's just a lot to it, right? And you can obviously nerd it out more if you want to, download more of the information. But the point is, it is a standard. And since it's a standard, there has to be a bigger picture in regards to this. So let's talk about this for a second. Let's introduce this. The very beginning of this video is a little bit loud. I'll have to turn it down and then I'll turn it back up. But it's straight from the ISO working group, and it talks about this right here in a video from June 22nd, 2021. And I love what's mentioned here. It says ISO 56000 suite of standards and guidance documents on innovation management offers a systematic approach to integrating innovation into all layers of an organization. Now, before I play this, I want to state this real quick. HARA did sign by request from Yanislav, I think it was, in regards to getting us off of the Binance Innovation Zone for JASMY.us. All right. What should also be mentioned, just in case they don't take us off of there, is tagging CZ and saying hello, or not CZ, sorry, he's not in charge anymore, but Binance, and saying hello. You place JASMY in Innovation Zone, but are you guys aware of the connections? Now, JASMY is not officially ISO 222, but it's part of what? It's part of a consortium ecosystem for this particular standard through JIN, because it's part of the JIN working group of ISO 56000 series on innovation management. So innovation through a particular ISO standard, wouldn't that be enough to convince some Yahoo over at Binance that we, as in JASMY holders, feel as though that, yeah, if we're part of a ISO 56000 series innovation management group, technically speaking, through this consortium, then that is it in itself. Innovation. You don't put us in this particular, area. Take us off of that, right? And we've had a lot of momentum. So let's go ahead and give us an intro to what this is all about. Again, it's only a minute and 27 seconds. I have to turn it down for a second. And we'll get back into a little bit more about this here in a bit. Here we go.
Innovating isn't easy. It means doing things that have never been done before and stepping outside of your comfort zone. When we unleash our creativity, it can be challenging to keep track of new ideas and develop them to fruition. ISO has a series of standards that do just that. They provide organizations with ways of defining what innovation means to them and the tools to help turn ambition into success. The ISO 56000 suite of standards and guidance documents on innovation management offers a systematic approach to integrating innovation into all layers of an organization. This helps to seize and create opportunities for the development of everything, from new products and systems and services to business models. They also bring many advantages, such as an increased ability to manage uncertainty, greater profitability, improved reputation and client retention, reduced cost, and a more empowered workforce. Innovation, managed with ISO standards.
Innovation in regards, sorry, the commercial was playing. Innovation in regards to ISO standards, right? So later on, I'm going to chop this up. You better believe it. And maybe in the title, it'll say something like, is this proof that JASMY needs to be out of the innovation zone immediately? If anything, call it what you want. It will cause a stir in the community, and that's what we need. We need to keep this momentum when it comes to JASMY. We already have some of that momentum, especially with Hara and some other members of the community, even myself, and so on, signing that petition from change.org and showing, hey, please take us out of the innovation zone. But if we can continuously give examples by showing you, like, hey, look at this ISO working group and so on, or this particular standard, especially when it comes to innovation, I think that's worth pointing out. Now, in conclusion, I'm going to show you some particular notes, right? Because I always do this, especially lately. So I showed you guys that video. I thought it was a pretty well done video for the most part. Kind of gives you a taste of this particular ISO working group. But ISO 56002, this particular standard, why is it so important? Is it just a nothing burger? Answer is no. Not a nothing burger. But basically, why is it so important? Well, it's a good question. You have to keep in mind that this is an international standard, and it provides guidance specifically for the establishment, implementation, maintenance, and continual improvement of an innovation management system, which is called an IMS, for use in all established organizations, not some, but all. Hence why we have standards. Now, it is a framework that helps organizations do the following. So for one, to develop a systematic approach, of course, to just that innovation. So please, finance, take us out of the innovation zone. Manages innovation activities effectively and, of course, efficiently. And on top of that, this particular standard achieves the desired outcomes from specifically that, which is innovation. Now, a little bit more about why this particular ISO standard, which is 56002, is so important. So innovation, of course, as we know, is essential for organizations to remain competitive, right? And also be able to thrive in today's rapidly changing world. True. ISO 56002 can help organizations to do basically the following. And it's basically like four main things. So number one, it's going to increase their ability to innovate. Hence why we gave you those examples. And, also NeoX tricks showing you that, look, JASMY is connected to a particular ecosystem, like consortium of an ecosystem, especially in Japan. Number two is going to improve their innovation and, of course, their performance. Number three, achieve their strategic, of course, objectives. Think about everything that JASMY has been doing in regards to keeping their promise, sticking to that white paper, despite all the criticism from, I hate to say it, other influencers and so on. And number four, that sustained success in the long term. Forget the short term. If you understand what JASMY is all about, you're not going to day trade it. Not financial advice, but I'm not. But that said, it's a long-term hold. Understand the mission, and especially when it comes to the goals of the JASMY management team. They came out with KPI targets of 2026, that specific year, for a reason. They didn't mention 2024, 2025. 2026 is a specific reason. Understand why we have that particular year, because it has to do with particular targeted goals. Again, the sustained success for the long term. And you also got to keep in mind that there's other numerous benefits when it comes to organizations that implement this particular ISO 56002 standard. And it does include a few more things. And basically, like we said, it's going to increase innovation productivity. Say what you want, but when it comes to IoT, there's a lot of things that are involved when it comes to productivity, all sorts of devices and so on. How about improved innovation outcomes? How about reduced innovation risks? And how about even costs? You make something that is more innovative and also saves organizations time and money, that's a big game changer. What about enhanced collaboration and communication? Those examples we gave in regards to a consortium ecosystem is game changer. Having those connections to Hitachi and NEC and some of these other ones that we talked about, Sony. It's a big deal. You will see an outcome in regards to increased decision making, customer satisfaction, and how about us as in retail holders getting a piece of that market share? Last but not least, you have to keep in mind that we will see a financial increase in performance for certain economies, in particular Japan. In conclusion, keep in mind that when it comes to not ISO 222, I've been saying that for over a year, right? Almost 2 years. When it comes to ISO 56002, it is a voluntary standard, but at the same time, it has been adopted by organizations of all sizes, industries around, of course, the world. It is a valuable tool for any organization that is serious about doing just that, innovating. So should JASMY stay in the innovation zone, or do more people, including Binance, need to know more about what JASMY is connected to? Binance, you need to take JASMY out of the innovation zone, and you need to do it as soon as possible. So that said, this is going to conclude our JASMY coverage. I was so glad to be able to provide it to you. And a shout out to the one and only NeoXTrix for his excellent research. All right. The next part of coverage we have tonight, we're approaching the hour and a half mark, is going to be in regards to specifically HBAR and its new news that was posted about 9 to 20 hours ago, roughly, in regards to Hedera Guardian. If Hedera is your thing, you want to stick around for that. All right. So let me close out some of these tabs. I thought the ISO thing was pretty cool. Glad to do something a little bit out of the norm, out of the box, right? Going to kick it back into the comments. And thank you for those who are here. We're maintaining a good audience of people. 64 likes, about 57, 58 people watching. Phoenix Suns are still a team. I get where you're going with that. With the way they've been winning lately, not winning lately, yeah, it kind of throws into question. Speaking of which, I'm going to double check on the score real quick because the game did start at 7, which means it's probably well past halftime at this point. Yeah, third quarter, 7.5 minutes, barely ahead against the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, come on, we should be way ahead of them. 62-57. Anyway, Jack Thompson, thank you, Mr. Brown. I was just wondering about you and your health. Then Yahweh gave me my answer. Oh, thank you, Jack. Special like, thank Deep Divus Maximus. Thank you. Crypto McDizzle, Gods Unchained's been steadily up. Interesting. Gaming crypto seemed to run approximately 400% gains. Wow. Gerald Briggs, hey, welcome. Good to see you. With the shades on, I gotta admit, I just watched the other night. I saw one episode of the newest season of Mandalorian because I don't ever watch it when it's live for everybody else. I just kind of like to binge watch at some point. And so I watched the first episode of season 3. And you're in your avatar, you look just like Carl Weathers' character, which is a good thing. But anyway, you're welcome. Gerald Briggs, hope to see more of you. Guys, welcome Gerald. All right. Let's go further down. Corey Bebe. Max, do you see Link hitting $100 in the bull run? Yeah, I could very well see it doing that. I just think that, for instance, with Link, you're looking at like roughly like a 20x or so, right? Which, don't get me wrong, I mean, the most I ever saw at the height of the last bull market was my Shiba Inu, right? And that was a 11x, and I was like, wow, But in a 20x, don't get me wrong, it's not bad. But at the same time, I just think there's that much more opportunity with the likes of like Quant and some of the other ones. But hey, I'm holding it, and I don't have a huge bag of it, but I'll be more than pleased with it and so on. So if you guys came into Link at roughly $5.60 or $6 and so on, you're ready up, right? We're in the $15 range. So you're already done like what, like a 3x basically. So at 100, I mean, have the X's on excuse me, yeah, add them up in that regard. I just don't like the tribalism when it comes to Link and Quant. You don't really see people from Quant going after Link, and it's just silly. It's just absolutely so silly. It's childish too. But I do like Link. I just don't own as much as I do like with Quant, for instance. But yeah, I could see that happening. As far as when, is it 2024, 2025? I don't know. Maybe Link stands out more on the short term because of the Swift connection. That would make to me more sense. But long term, Swift is definitely they're going to have to do something. Maybe, people say, well, yeah, they are. It's through Link. I get that, but I would be more gung ho about where our new financial infrastructure is going to compared to just sticking around and saying, yeah, I'm going to invest into companies that are connected. Well, specifically like Link, for instance. That's no bash on Link. I'm not going all in on Link, but I do have some. What I mean? I hope that doesn't ruin. Don't let what I'm saying influence you in that regard. But yeah, I do see that it could very well go to that. I just don't know when. 2024, 2025, who knows? Gerald, there is no denying that having partnership with Swift is a huge advantage for Chainlink. True, but could also hold the project back. Exactly. That's. I didn't get it coming out the right way. Gerald basically said in a better way than I could. All right, let's see here. A few more comments. We have Jack Thompson. Remember the song? Everybody wants to own the world. Yes. All right, let's get into what we have in regards to Hedera. So let me just take out the JASMY branded logo. And let's see here. Do we go with the peanut butter cup? I think we're going to go with it. Yeah, because the other one is in standard definition. So I think some people like this one. Kind of looks like a hockey puck or Reese's peanut butter cup. Hedera hash graph peanut butter cup. I don't know. But whatever the case be, there it is. Please give me a follow over on the X platform at DPG Maximus. Also give Will Fix a follow over at WillFix7. He's starting to build up his following, which is cool. And yeah, let's jump into what we have. It is this right here, straight from the HBAR Foundation. So what is this all about? Well, this was reported a little bit earlier today. And like you see, it says, already leveraged by global institutions, the Hedera Guardian, if you're aware of what that is, by the way, is the trust layer of climate finance. This is how we scale from billions to trillions. And this really caught my attention because you guys are always talking about scalability. And, when it comes to a faster TPS, Hedera definitely takes the cake compared to like Ripple's XRP, XDC, Stellar, and so on. But scalability and the concept of billions to trillions, some people don't see it. I hate to say it. Some people are like, oh yeah, in regards to trillions being added to the overall crypto market, it's just going to be BTC, it's going to be ETH, Ripple and Stellar and HBAR, they'll contribute a little bit, but it's just going to be a few billions. So when you see something like this, keep an open mind. Let's let it speak for itself. Minute and 9 seconds. And then we'll get into this part from Ursula von der Leyen. What does she have to say? Well, if you're not familiar with who she is, she's the president of the European Union Commission. Why would somebody like this be tagged in regards to Hedera? Let's go ahead and play this. Thanks for being here. Here we go.
Humanity is in a race against time when it comes to climate change. Direct carbon capture at scale offers the best hope for decarbonization, but today the principal tools we have in the battle are reducing our own emissions, investing in environmental technologies, and offsetting our carbon footprint. However, there are challenges with carbon offset projects with both trust and transparency. So, what if there were a solution to make carbon offsets transparent, auditable, and discoverable to build trustworthy, fair markets that lead to a greener future? The Hedera Guardian is the first open source solution enabling developers to create trustworthy environmental assets. It's time to bring the balance sheet of the planet to the public ledger. Join the world-class organizations building a carbon-negative ecosystem on Hedera. What future will you build?
All right. Obviously, that's impressive. At the end, you saw the whole thing of the governing council and then, other companies built on Hedera. We know most of this stuff. Doesn't end there, though. I want to share just another brief video with you guys. So let's take you over to this other one. And you may be wondering, for instance, like, what is all this in reality? Well, when I was looking more into the whole thing of Hedera Guardian and so on, and this whole thing about what they're trying to do with carbon and whatnot, I came to this old video, and it's only about 2 minutes and 6 seconds. But what I want to point out is what's mentioned here from July 27th, 2019. It says in developing markets, many people do not have access, of course, to stable currency or even a bank account. True. But they may have mobile devices, of course, with an internet connection. Carbon aims to facilitate a more inclusive and efficient global economy by launching reliable, price-stable cryptocurrencies that leverage Hedera's hash graph, high throughput, and security. Now, just a little bit more about this. Carbon USD, which is what is referred to here, is a compliant, price-stable cryptocurrency that is one-to-one backed, of course, with the United States dollar. Starting off with full fiat collateralization, is basically essential for bootstrapping the market's trust in stablecoin without depending on the size of a initial reserve. The team has developed a novel mechanism for transitioning to a hybrid fiat algorithmic stablecoin model once Carbon USD reaches sufficient scale as a fully fiat-backed token. Now, we do understand that there is a period of time, obviously, with what happened with UST from Terra Luna, on why a lot of people just didn't want to mention the whole thing of algorithmic stablecoins, and I couldn't blame them. You're starting to see a little bit more of it mentioned. Maybe it's because it just needed some time to, take a breather from that, right? But I want to show this to you, and if anything, let me know what you think. We got a little bit more about why this is significant, but this is like it says, carbon stabilizes currency globally. You got to keep in mind, Hedera has a lot of focus when it comes to being, one of the greenest of the green, them and algo. But on top of that, it's like, we talk about reduced costs and fees and so on. By them being so pro green, I mean, there's not much energy being wasted or burned, right? So anyway, let's speak for itself. We'll get more into this, and especially that lady from the European Union here in a second. Here we go.
When the earthquake hit, the banking system collapsed, so people started sending in cash. When people know that a lot of cash is coming in, hijacking became a massive, massive problem. So a bunch of gasoline trucks got hijacked. That had an immediate impact on the ability of hospitals to operate. So we ended up kind of filling a bunch of square containers with gasoline, putting them in a bus under the level of the windows, and just kind of crossing our fingers and hoping that we're going to make it. I was acutely aware of economics and well-being from a very young age. I want to build an economic tool that would have a massive, far-reaching, and deep impact on as many people as possible. Carbon seemed like the better vehicle for those efforts, a better vehicle for impact than just kind of getting a CS degree and just kind of participating in the general software engineering jobs fair that is Silicon Valley. Carbon is a solution to volatility. We want to make cryptocurrency into actual money. And there's a lot of people just don't have any form of access to financial infrastructure. And what this results in is kind of cycles of poverty, right? Something that's absolutely necessary for crypto to move forward is higher throughput. Throughput is the amount of transactions per second that a ledger can process. The cost of moving around carbon is going to correlate to the throughput of a ledger. I've always viewed Hedera, given its security, as kind of the best solution for the throughput portion of the equation. Carbon is definitely a long-term solution. This won't have failed or succeeded probably in a year even, because we're working on rebuilding just a lot of the globe's financial infrastructure. Like that's a pretty tall order. We want to see everyone everywhere have access to financial infrastructure that's superior to what Americans have today. I think that we're at the very start of something huge in just human history.
Okay, so what I want to share with you guys before we end this Hedera coverage is back to the statement from this particular lady. So let me go ahead and share this with you. And this is from this lady here. Come back into the frame. Her name is Ursula von der Leyen, right? Like I said, she is the president of the European Union Commission, mother of 7, Brussels-born, European by heart. She states, in climate finance, we have to move from billions, of course, into trillions. To get there, we need new sources of revenues, new levies, green bonds, and, of course, carbon pricing. We need more than ever strong partnerships with Global Gateway. Now, you got to keep in mind, it takes you to this whole thing, but this was sourced, like you saw earlier, from Hedera. See what you want to have some of these connections. I think it's a big deal. And here is where the link brings you to. This is December 2nd, which is today. Statement by President von der Leyen at the COP28 presidency global stock take roundtable on means of implementation. Now, we pointed out some of these things before, I think about over a month ago, in regards to like quant, some of the big wigs like Gilbert Verdian attending some of these things. But, she talks about how this is going to happen and about this implementation. I like this because you know what? It is great examples of, as I would say, utility in motion. So can we give you examples of just that? Some actual utility in motion? Well, it has to be implemented first. She wanted, of course, to focus on 2 powerful tools, finance and partnerships. She talks about how climate finance is at the core of the topics in the coming days. It's not just about money, it's about trust. Last year, the European Union contributed to close to about $30 billion in climate finance to developing countries. She has consistency when it comes to delivering the 100 billion target by the end of this year. But they state that, or she states that they committed to doubling finance for adaptation. And it's their priority for them to be able to have a new loss and damage fund that can start without delay. Yesterday, December 1st, she announced that 25 million euros from the EU budget will be available right away to help operationalize the fund. And when you get more into this, the point is back to the whole topic of being able to scale billions to trillions. She states to get there, we need to find new sources of revenue. She wants to, of course, have this whole initiative from this particular guy, President Macron and President Ruto. I don't know who they are. I'll be honest about that. But the goal is to develop new levies to raise more money for climate action and to have a green bond market. Think about this for a second, because we understand Hedera being heavily tied into this, and especially using the HBAR coin. But they want to expand this to developing countries, or basically initializing or implementing, like it says, this initiative to their economies. Green bonds facilitates the flow of private capital, of course, in green projects. Therefore, they have launched the Global Green Initiative to attract private capital to developing countries. Now, back to this example of billions to trillions. says in this period, emissions covered by our system went down by almost 40%. The economy kept growing, and they have raised over 175 billion euros in revenue. And these revenues are going to climate action to also help develop other particular countries. Yesterday, they teamed up with the IMF, the World Bank that we're always talking about as well, and the WTO to scale up carbon markets. So all those people saying that Hedera can't scale, no, not true. And to develop criteria for true carbon credits. And of course, have a reform of international financial architecture. Well, of course, she has another second point about all this stuff, but the point I want to jump down to is their emphasis. So check this out for a second. It says that their emphasis is on renewable energy and clean hydrogen. And this creates a perfect win-win situation. Developing countries want to leapfrog into clean energy. We've seen numerous examples about that. And like it says, while industrializing and creating good jobs for their people, they are a crucial part of the solution. It says we as in Europeans are interested to invest, because this diversifies and strengthens their supply chains in these growing new markets. It is the best investment any of us can make. And if anything, you can throw XDC into mix, especially when it comes to supply chain and trade, maybe even some other ones like, we talk about VeChain, Morpheus network, and so on, right? So there's that. And I do think by having this all implemented, and especially trying to help these economies thrive, it is towards the path of mass adoption when you really think about it. And again, guys, this is just one layer of Hedera compared to all the other things they got going on. It made obviously recent news, and I thought I would go ahead and share that with you. In conclusion, I do have some notes that I want to get into. Basically speaking, back to the whole thing of Hedera Guardian. What is the significance for it? Is it a nothing burger? Well, of course not. You got to keep in mind that in the field of sustainability, due to its ability to address several critical challenges in the voluntary carbon market, which is called the VCM, it is crucial that this mechanism of the VCM combats climate change by allowing organizations, individuals to offset, of course, their emissions through the purchase of just that, carbon credits. Now, here in the United States, a lot of us are not exactly for this. Some are for it, some are against it, whatever the case be. But you got to keep in mind, different area of the world, Europe, they're more of the conglomerate that's embracing some of these things. What kind of opportunity will it create for us as the Hedera HBAR holder? Keep in mind, VCM is currently plagued by several issues, currently speaking. So we have to point some of this out. For one, fraud and lack of transparency. The VCM, again, just in case you forgot what that means, the voluntary carbon market has been susceptible, of course, to fraud. And with individuals and organizations issuing fake or illegitimate carbon credits, that's a bad thing. But where Hedera comes in to the mix is we understand with the hash graph consensus, you do have things that are verifiable, or as the saying goes, future proof, verifiable on a ledger, as Dr. Lehman Baird has mentioned. So this also helps combat a problem that exists in regards to fraud and lack of transparency. Like it says in the notes, the lack of transparency has eroded trust in the market and hindered its growth. But again, Hedera comes in and meets that, that void, if you will. Duplication, double counting. Think about this for a second. Carbon credits have been double counted, leading to an oversupply of credits and undermines the integrity, of course, of the market. The issue arises from a lack of centralized tracking and verification of carbon credits. Again, Hedera comes in and meets this problem with a head-on solution. Number 3, in regards to this problem, efficiency and lack of liquidity. And I want you to think about this for a second. The VCM is fragmented and inefficient, making it difficult for buyers and sellers to connect and transact, of course, smoothly. This inefficiency has been limited to the participation of individuals and organizations, of course, in the actual market. Now, back to this whole thing of Hedera through Guardian. This will allow to address these various challenges that we just talked about. And it's going to help leverage the Hedera public distributed ledger network, obviously their particular DLT, to create a secure, transparent, and even efficient VCM. The DLT provides a immutable and tamper-proof record of all carbon credits, not just some, eliminating the risk of fraud and double counting. It also facilitates seamless transactions between buyers, sellers, improving liquidity and market efficiency. Now, even though this whole thing is focused on carbon credits and so on, I'm just going to go ahead and call it. I think at some point in the future, you may see like the U.S. government implement what HBAR has to offer in regards to, let's face it, not taking the, double the votes and stuff like that. I'm not trying to turn this into a political conspiracy theory. But, this will eliminate the whole notion of, the Dems won, the Republicans won, and so on. If you have something that's an answer to anything, that creates value. And this is not just value in regards to carbon credits. In summary, about 5 things I want to get into about the benefits of HBAR Guardian. So for one, enhanced transparency and traceability. HBAR Guardian provides auditable, traceable, and can't even pronounce it tonight. Reproducible, so many common words. I'm sorry. I can't talk. Reproducing records of carbon credits. Sorry about that. Ensuring transparency through the entire VCM lifecycle. Very, very true. We talked about fraud prevention, so we're not going to get into that again. But I do want to talk about for a second of, for instance, efficient tokenization and issuance, because a lot of times I'm talking about quant and all that. HBAR Guardian streamlines the tokenization and issuance of the process of course, carbon credits, and reduces the cost of course, increasing efficiency because it's one of the greenest ones out there. It doesn't cost much to do this. They have simplified compliance and reporting. HBAR Guardian facilitates simplified compliance, of course, with VCM regulations, reporting requirements, reducing administrative burdens, and of course, for those particular organizations. And knowing that, you as a HBAR holder, we talked about this earlier in regards to JASMY increasing the liquidity, especially when it comes to the unbanning of, Circle, USDC, foreign stable coins, and so on. Well, this is also going to enhance market liquidity, which is great for us as the retail holders, because HBAR Guardian fosters a more liquid and efficient VCM by enabling seamless transactions, of course, between buyers and sellers. All right, last part. Overall, this whole thing of HBAR Guardian, it plays a significant role in advancing these VCMs because it's going to address its existing challenges and paves the road for a more robust, transparent, and efficient market. We all want to see that. As the VCM continues to grow, it's important to note that it's going to address climate change, and the HBAR Guardian itself is poised to play a pivotal role, of course, in its development and success. Again, if you can create any type of answer that provides a solution to a real world problem, and again, this is apparently a real world problem. Nobody's going to be on board for carbon credits if they're getting charged double, right? Counted as, you want things to be counted as one, not two. Then HBAR comes in. And again, that's just scratching the surface. Like, look at all the other things that HBAR's got going on for it. So, thought I'd point that out. It made recent news, and it's been a little bit of a while since we've done some HBAR coverage. So, if you appreciate the coverage, make sure you've liked, commented, and subscribed, as the saying goes. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to do now is kick it back to the comments. And the next part of the coverage we're going to have tonight is going to be in regards to quant. Now, the quant outline is really, really something else. It's in regards to a regulatory sandbox of accepted firms. And basically, if you saw my last quant video, the intro at the very beginning, it shows Gilbert Verdi on his laptop. He froze the frames. Bank of International Settlements article talks about Project Bridge. They kind of give you some Easter eggs. Let's verify some of the things in regards to the little tidbit of Easter eggs that Gilbert Verdi and Martin Hargreaves gave us. But before we do that, let's kick it back to the comments, and let's see what we have. All right, let's see here. We have, all right. I think we had the last one was just forfeit. Let's go further down. Just forfeit. I think ACP could also hit $100 this bull run. Crypto McDizzle for Chisel. I don't buy ICP because it reminds me of the band. Sad I know. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that as well. But that's not why I don't buy it. I'm into so many things, and just want to stack more of what I have. River says, "Rule the world." Yes, everybody's laughing. That's good stuff. Gerald, have a great night. I think you're already gone, obviously by now. River says, "I'm carbon based and pretty green." Interesting. Welcome back to William Brewer. Of course, keep your eyes on Earn, he says. Buy, hold, and earn best deflationary token, 100% reflections to you. Yeah, we did share this a little bit yesterday, but I think you had to leave or something like that. Reflection token hits the billions last bull run. Earn will run to the billions. Screenshot this, not financial advice. All right, well, thanks for sharing that. All right, what we're going to do now is going to get into the quant coverage of the night. And let me just go ahead and change the avatar. This will be the last coverage that we have of the night, approaching the 2-hour mark at 1:51. And I always like this particular one. Jay Muskies made this one. All right. I want to first thank Quant Papa for the in-depth research in regards to this. He has a whole grocery list he has like a novel of research at this point. But I thought I would get into this because I want it to be a continuation based off the last video. I'm going to show you, of course, where to find that video. And let's go ahead and pull this up for a second. So if you're wondering about the video in reference, I'm going to go ahead and show you here. And yeah, let's pull this up. All right. So it comes straight from Maximus Crypto in the recorded video section. And it's the one that says, "It's happening, QNT update must see." In the trailer, which is the intro of that particular deep dive 23-minute video, Quant QNT, tomorrow's money plus China and QNT. I put something like, this is massive. It is massive. But in that particular video, there's some areas that you want to, if you're the type of nerd, you could do this. You want to freeze the frame. So it shows, like I said, Gilbert Verdian reviewing a Bank of International Settlements article on his laptop. They threw another Easter egg of the whole thing of, Project Enbridge. So what exactly is all this? Is it even worth pointing out? Well, I think it is. And if anything, we're going to jump to why that's important. So here it is. Check this out for a second, especially if you're into quant. So it says regulatory sandbox, accepted firms. How long ago was this reported? Well, September 20th of this year. Talks about straight from the site, which is fca.org.uk. Firms that have been accepted, I should say, in the regulatory sandbox, including our previous cohorts. It says we have received over 600 applications to the regulatory sandbox since its launch. Now, me and Quant Papa have, provide you guys some research in regards to the regulatory sandbox. And it's quite interesting to say the least, especially when it comes to that quant connection. But look at some of these applications. DLT, blockchain, AI, artificial intelligence, open banking, application, interface, APIs, digital IDs. All these things that are mentioned here are all tied to ISO TC307. So even though this is not a JASMY/QNT video, we established why those are so important, those particular standards and their working groups. Got the whole thing of crypto and DeFi, infrastructure, even ESG. All those things are worth pointing out, right? As case studies of how innovation can benefit us all. The point is, it's all there, right? Why, again, get into this? Well, I'm going to show you why. So, again, Project Enbridge. I'll come out of the frame on this one. Look what's mentioned here. You have global Project Enbridge participants. Project Enbridge is a collaborative effort of the BIS Innovation Hub for founding central banks, over 25 observing members. A little bit hard to see, but it talks about some of the founding members. For instance, you have, some of these familiar ones up on the top. I believe, for instance, you have what is this? Some of these are kind of hard to read. Banco Central, Banque de France. There's observing members. I apologize. And you have the World Bank is also observing member. It talks about how observing members have access to the Project Enbridge sandbox, which is a secure and easily accessible testing environment, simulating Enbridge nodes and transactions. No production data or real value transactions are involved in the sandbox. So far, 11 observing members have participated in the sandbox testing and provided valuable feedback. Very, very true. Now, getting more into this. Here's a bigger version of what we just showed you. On that particular one. And I know I'm still out of frame, but I wanted you to see this. Here's another thing that's really interesting in regards to was presented from the FCA. Hopefully you guys see that. See that? Yeah. Digital Sandbox. Get access to a suite of tools to collaborate, features to support innovation, systemic data innovation ecosystem, API marketplace, integrated development environment, and what does it say on the bottom? Showcase space from the FCA. I'm gonna take it to this part real quick. Come back into the frame for a second. Check out this for just a brief moment. Again, this is not like the deepest dives, but check this out. Straight from Quant, UK has now published a financial services and markets bill, which regulates certain types of quote-unquote stable coins as a form of payment. The law, which still needs to pass through Parliament, will require stablecoin issuers to be licensed by the Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA. That's why we shared with you these links and gave you examples from the FCA. Again, part of connecting the dots. While relatively light tough at this stage, the bill opens the door to stricter oversight in the future. The bill will also lead to the creation of new FCA and Bank of England-based sandbox, providing a way for the financial sector to explore the use of blockchain tech. Now, we already know Bank of England and the BIS chose Quant Network through the Overledger for CBDC tokenization. Getting more into what we have, I will share this. Look what it says here. So this right here, in regards to this particular thing that was taken away from, I believe, a particular email, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on it. Multi-CBDC economy says several governments, banks, and financial communities have explored the use of a shared ledger containing multiple CBDCs as a way to potentially obtain an economy of scale in the development and maintenance of their own respective CBDCs. True. Such a multi-CBDC approach has the potential to benefit to improve cross-border payments and protect monetary sovereignty without necessarily becoming a monetary union. Hence why you have BIS, MC, BIS is MCBDC. However, within a multi-CBDC configuration, there must be a mechanism to interconnect each respective national sovereign bank network with a shared multi-CBDC network. Gateways appear to be attractive means to permit the transfer of CBDC from one national network ledger to a shared multi-CBDC ledger and vice versa. Talks about this right on the bottom. It talks about consistency is maintained between the CBDC counts on the national network with that on the multi-CBDC network. With or without multi-CBDC ledger, the existence of different national networks managing different wholesale CBDC assets, again, the Quant network connection, will necessitate inter-network transfers for cross-border payments and settlements. And again, it references the BIS. Also talks about whether directly through two wholesale CBDC networks or between a wholesale CBDC network and a multi-CBDC network. Transfer of currency assets is a problem for which SATP appears to be the most suitable solution. Most suitable solution. This is not a nothing burger. Who has this particular connection for SATP? Who is the platform? It is Quant. So Quant obviously is the solution. We talk about supply and demand. There's your supply, there's your demand, and who's the platform? We already established that through Quant Network, through the Overledger. All right. Here's another thing that was part of the Easter egg, if you will. Let me share this with you. I'm going to go ahead and full screen this. So in that particular intro from that video, talking about tomorrow's money. Okay, this is only about maybe a 6-minute video. Like I play on here because you should watch you should watch the other video. So it says Enbridge, as in Project Enbridge, issuance and redemption, a manual issuance and redemption. Look at that, Part A, Part B, automatic issuance and redemption. Shows this whole thing about off-bridge, gives you examples of the central bank, how the money flows, pays off-bridge, and then even coming on to the on-bridge system. But it references issuance and redemption, talks about how it all gets transferred and so on, right? From the issuance platform. But what is one of the main platforms that we know about? Well, again, why would Quant take and give you this Easter egg if it was just a giant nothing burger? I don't think so. And speaking of which, here's another frame that was zoomed in on. I was telling Mike Cornwell and Edward Vincent to look at this. High-level network topology, Enbridge platform. This is Martin Hargreaves pointing to this. What is this platform connected to? Look at this, commercial banks, People's Bank of China. Look at this for a second. Remember how we gave you all that info about China recently with Quant? Last video had it, right? Look at this, commercial banks, Central Bank of the UAE. Interesting. Because we know that the UAE is, they're not choosing the dollar anymore. The Monetary Authority of Singapore, I think, is the bottom one. And the bottom left, I can't see that one at the moment, but nonetheless, it's definitely worth pointing out. All right, here's another one that's from a screenshot of Gilbert Verdian's laptop. Simplifying transactions. That's what it said on his laptop in that video. Again, they give us little Easter eggs for the nerds. Project Meridian. Simplifying transactions through innovation. Bank of England. Right off of Gilbert Verdian's laptop. And just to pound it home a little bit more, there is Verdian. There's his laptop. What is he looking at? Well, let's share a little bit of that. What it says here. Project Enbridge, connecting economies through, that part gets cut off. It says currency types and participants, supervisory functions for the central banks responsible for the monitoring and authentication module, and data layers. Again, gets kind of cut off, But here it is. And, Quant Papa did a good job of zooming in and taking these screenshots for you guys that appreciate this. All right. So he's pointing at it. He's standing next to Martin Hargreaves. There's Verdian and Hargreaves looking at what, guys? Project Enbridge. Once again. Excuse me. And then again here, a little bit more about Enbridge issuance and redemption. This is like another little reminder. And if you're wondering, what's this from? It's from a PDF. Connecting economies through CBDC. Plain as day, this is the same thing that they were looking at. On this particular one, I'll read a little bit about it. It's a simple one currency push payments. There are two types of payments that can be performed on Enbridge. Starts with the initiator selecting the currency, amount, and counterparty. The initiator then conducts the appropriate off-bridge compliance checks, including AML, CTF, sanctions checks, and sends the payment request to the payee. Once the payee receives this request, it conducts its own off-bridge compliance check and, if appropriate, confirms the payment. Once received, the initiator will call the payment interface, which invokes the contract to pay the specified currency amount to the receiving address. Why did I mention that out loud? Because in the trailer, it talks specifically about, Gilbert Verdian talking about there's a lot of things that happen on the back end of transactions. A lot of things have to happen. This is in reference to what happens. Getting into the last bit of what we have. I'm going to come out of the frame again on this one. It's just, Quant Papa zooming in. Connecting economies through CBDC. Connecting economies through CBDC. I don't think a lot of people still get quant. I'm just going to be honest. Like, I don't mean that in a bad way. But when I hear people day trading quant, they are not realizing the bigger picture of quant. Quant is generational wealth. I will say that unapologetically. It is generational wealth. If you have researched quant, and hopefully you guys have, you will know that when it talks about tomorrow's money, it is tomorrow's money. How would you like to have the opportunity to, for instance, like your great grandparents and so on, when the whole concept of like central banks and the new money came into existence and so on? I look at quant in that regard. When they had come out with a trailer, which they did, a few days ago, tomorrow's money, the tokenization of those specific CBDCs and so on. I understand it. Not all of us are for CBDCs. It's coming whether we want to believe that. And I'm not going to stand on the sideline. Just like, a lot of us stood on sideline when it came to BTC. Oh, don't get involved in BTC. It's tied into drug trafficking and so on. Hello, what about fiat? I don't know of anything more tied into actual drug trafficking than actual money. So it's just people overthink it and so on. Getting more into the last bit of what we have. Let me take you over to here. Gilbert Verdian, zoomed in, looking at a laptop. It says the Atlantic Council Central Bank Digital Currency Tracker. What is this? Well, I'm going to show you a little bit more. Atlantic Council, if you do a search, talks about Central Bank Digital Currency Tracker. A CBDC is virtual money created by a central bank. Yeah. As cryptocurrencies and stable coins become popular, central banks provide alternatives. Interesting. Why would they mention cryptocurrencies? A little bit more about this. Look what's also referenced here. Our flagship central bank digital currency CBDC tracker takes you inside the rapid evolution of money all over the world. Again, guys, Gilbert Verdian, if you were ever nerded out with this guy, he gives you all these little Easter eggs. He's kind of like, I don't know, man. He's just kind of crazy when it comes to that. So there's that. Exploring central bank digital currency. Look at this. Atlantic Council's Geoeconomics Center for the Digital Dollar Project are hosting a first of its kind convening of leaders from international financial, etc. I'm not doing it tonight, but the next part, if you want to call it like a part 2 or 3, is going to be about the digital dollar. Okay. All you guys are, not all you guys, but a lot of you guys have stated, what's going to happen in regards to a digital dollar? Is quant involved in that? The answer is yes. I'll give you guys some solid references, research with Quant Papa to pound that home that much more. Number 3 part, exploring central bank digital currency. The Digital Dollar Project identifies options of a CBDC solution to help enhance monetary policy effectiveness and financial stability. Right. All this stuff was worked on last year when it came to Project Hamilton, when it came to Quant, for instance, the BIS, and especially MIT. And also, excuse me, I apologize. We also had the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, right? That was the thing. Atlantic Council Digital Dollar Project announced what? Full lineup for flagship of Central Bank Digital Currency Conference, November 16th of this year. It says the Fed has been quietly undertaking a range of important technical moves designed to create a glide path for a digital dollar. This is a whole outline of everything that we've been talking about since last year. All right, let me get more into this. Boom, here it is. Once again, this is what Gilbert Verdian was looking at when you zoom in more. Central Bank Digital Currency Tracker, right? You go to atlanticcouncil.org, and here's the one in motion of what he was looking at. All right, so I just wanted to throw that out there just in case. So be on the lookout for more info in regards to all this. And if anything, we'll continue to bring it to you. So again, digital dollar, we definitely need to take more of a deep dive into that. But at the end of the day, a lot of us even before cryptocurrency existed. I was always told if you can somehow invest into like the banking systems of the world, you know, banks are the ones that bring in all the major money. Every single, drop of the hat. When I look more into quant, they're very, very highly connected to the world's money, tomorrow's money, as the saying goes. How much is that going to be worth in the future? Are you really day trading your quant? Well, not financial advice. You're going to do what you got to do, but that's just the way I look at it. All right. Let's get into the last bit of coverage, which is not coverage. Just get into the comments, I should say. And let's see what last comments we have. Let me pull up the history here. I think I closed out the wrong thing. Yeah, I did. All right. Let me close out some of these tabs. Then I'll read the last bit of comments. Because, we covered quite a few things tonight. Let's close out the rest of this. Okay. Let me double check the other screen. I think we're good. I don't think anything too crazy happened. All right. 70 likes, 35 people watching. Not too bad. All right. Let's see here. We have River. Canadians hate carbon credits. We pay for them all. Interesting. River. XNA had a good day. That's good. GF Berg. Hey, Berg. Good to see you, man. Oh, yeah. XNA, Caspa, NeoX, Bubba, baby. River, get your stuff on a cold wallet, peeps. Feels like something is coming down the pipe. Max is going to be an affiliate for Decent if you need one. Yes, I just haven't had a chance to. They mailed it to me. I did get in the mail, which is super cool of them to do that. But I do want to do a proper review and see if I like it. Because what if I don't like it? What the heck? You don't like this and you're going to shill it to me, Max? Shame on you, right? Yeah, I need to see if it's, I'm basically going to be going from ledger to Decent. Like on the surface, I mean, Will, he used to also do ledger. And so he was like, I like it a lot better. So, I was wanting to go with a better solution. I know there's other ones like Titan, but I think I already got it. So might as well go with it. But, on the surface, it does seem a lot better and so on. But I just want to properly review it before I drop in some links and stuff like that. And then, they said something like I don't have to do a whole video devoted to it. Like let's say, for instance, like the quant coverage tonight. I could do like a little segment that kind of be like, hey, check out our sponsor, Decent or whatever, or affiliate or whatever. See what happens with it. You use it, and that's good. Killing it as always through Maximus. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate that. All right, with that said, that's going to close out the show. Know what you have, know why you hold it. The research trumps FUD 110%. And I just want to give a shout out to the one and only Mr. Edward Vincent, Mr. Squidward. Thank you for all your help earlier. Don't think that I never appreciate it. I always do appreciate it. So thank you, sir. You're an awesome guy. And Mr. Elon Muff, Mike Cornwell, and all you guys, all your thoughts and prayers and concerns in regards to what's going on with my dad. I had to spend a good portion of today on the phone trying to update, like my dad's sister and stuff like that, and talking to his best friend. And it was just a time-consuming day. I don't mean that in a bad way, but if anything, if you do have parents that are still alive, and you have a good relationship with them, give them a hug, tell them how much you love them and how much they mean to you, because you never know, All right, let's read this last bit. Stump art. I use Ledger and my favorites is Tangem. Interesting. All right. Well, guys, I won't be here with you guys tomorrow, but I may be back on Monday. It just depends. So, when everything was normal, you guys know how the schedule goes. It's Monday through Thursday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. So if you see a day in which I'm not here, it's because of the whole thing with, my dad. I do try to post things on Twitter to give you guys a heads up if there's a show. But for those that don't follow me on Twitter, that's what's going on. I don't want it to be shocking. Like, hey, what's up with this guy? Like, he has this new channel. He doesn't even show up. And it's nothing like that. But anyway, look forward to seeing you guys hopefully on Monday. Have a great rest of your weekend. And let me just double check real quick. I think the Suns game is over, unfortunately. I did want to see the last, fourth quarter, but a minute 28 seconds. Looks like they're going to win. Finally, the Suns are going to get a win. They're up by 10. Anyway, let's hope it would be a close game. I like watching a close game, but all right, guys. Sayonara from the Race Crop Consortium. Let's go. Over and out. And after this show, there's a JASMY video that's going to go live. If you're more than welcome to check it out. So, and GF Burke, I did see your PC with the Caspa. That was really cool that you're building for somebody. I don't know if that's real, but it looks cool. Really appreciate you guys. All the support through the thick and thin. It means a lot. Like I said, sayonara from the Race Crop Consortium. Let's go. Bye-bye.